Do you want the TV you are watching to be truthful and accurate? Do you want to free yourself from the media agenda that wants to control you? I would like this also. When I turn on the TV, I want to know what I'm watching is real and objective. I, an American citizen, want to know the truth in media and trust that what I'm viewing is reliable. I've studied the news and can give you an objective idea of what's going on. I'm going to show you that there is a media bias, what kinds of biases occur, and some real-world examples of this bias. I'll also tell you how to detect this bias and what you can do about it. I'm going to tell you about the problem of media bias, what can be done about it, and what will happen if no action is taken. The first thing I'll explain is the problem of media bias. There is a bias in media, and it's affecting the things we do and say in a negative way. Media influences uninformed audiences in a negative way. The agenda the media has is often to gain political power or financial gain, either because of their sponsors or the agenda of the publishers. The problem affects everyone who watches the news, and in the long run, everyone in the whole world is affected through government. I'll now tell you the solution to the problem of media bias. The solution is to inform people in order to analyze what they see on TV and observe for themselves the bias used. This can be achieved by understanding the types of media bias found in today's society. I'm going to tell you about 5 types of media bias as described by Brent Baker in Student News Daily. The first type of bias is bias by omission. This is when a media outlet leaves out a part of a story or doesn't acknowledge an event happened at all. This happens when a certain story doesn't agree with the outlet's beliefs. An example of this is on May 21, 2012, members of the Catholic Church sued the Obama administration over this defining of a religious institution in the Obamacare law. This was historical because no religious body has sued the government at this scale. Despite this, major news sources such as CBS and NBC completely ignored the entire story. CBS did mention the story, but only for a mere 19 seconds. The information coming from Brent Basel Media Research Center. The second type of bias is bias by source and story selection. This type of bias is selecting sources and stories that help the news program's agenda. This could include ignoring a certain point of view or selecting a biased source for the story. This also includes the amount of time given to different stories. A program could devote a very short amount of time to a story they disagree with. An example of this occurred in Wisconsin. While Common Core standards were being debated, a local news station chose to interview a Common Core supporter who was a principal at a local school. This is all fine. However, they failed to interview educational professionals who knew more about the subject. The news station didn't ask these people questions for fear of them disagreeing. Dave Foriazzo explains this in detail. The third type of bias is bias by placement. This bias is pretty simple. A news media outlet organizes their content in terms of how important they believe it is. They will put the most important stories in the headlines and the least important in the back. Newspapers or online media will put content they disagree with in the back of their literature. News on TV can also do this by putting a story at the end of their program. In August of 2000, Time magazine featured Tiger Woods as their headline and placed the story on the title. At this time, the Republican Party National Convention was also going on. Some people would argue this is more important than Tiger Woods. The story on the convention was not seen until page 26. Now, the fourth type of media bias is bias by labeling. This bias is recognized by calling certain individuals or groups of people radical names that are not necessarily accurate. This could be news programs labeling liberals as far left, while calling conservatives just Republicans. This can also be seen when protesters are labeled as extremists or revolutionaries. An example of this occurred in 2013 when a scandal of harassment by a public official was a leading news story. The offender, Bob Filner, was covered all around the country. Interestingly enough, ABC and NBC failed to mention that he was a Democrat. At the same time, an official named Dewhurst was being covered for a scandal minute to the one involving Filner. The same news stations played Dewhurst's story, but now broadcasted he was a Republican, making it known the party of one person, but not of the other. The final type of bias is bias by spin. Spin occurs when a reporter takes a proven fact and then uses their own opinion on the fact to make it appear good or bad. This could be a news station downplaying a problem that could hurt their agenda, or exaggerating a problem that can hurt the opposing side. An example is during the campaigning for the 2012 presidential election, the New York Times made some interesting comments concerning Obamacare. Obamacare was statistically a flunk at this time, and the spending was very high and it really wasn't working, including the website. At this time, the spending was slightly leveling out, and the Times took this opportunity to describe the spending as hopeful. They took a negative fact and spun it to promote their agenda. So, sophomores comes Christian High School. What should you do today? Well, this is a major issue that you can actually do something about relatively easily. You surely don't have to memorize these biases or examples that come with them. All you have to do is analyze what you hear and see. Whether you're watching the evening news or scrolling through your Twitter feed, take a second to look at what you're viewing and see who's saying it, why they're saying it, and how this might create an agenda in their words. Look at how these sources, being a large news corporation or your personal friend, can benefit by pushing you one way or another on a certain issue. Do your own research and make your own conclusions. Decide if the source you're listening to is really trying to help you or hurt you. This way of thinking and absorbing information is so very important in this ever-changing social environment with virtually limitless sources of information. I will now show you the consequences of following or not following the solution. Alright, take a second to imagine a country where a minutely small group of people controls the vast majority of the population by just the themes and ideas they suggest to them. When these people agree with something, the population agrees also. When an idea is condemned by these people, the population also dislikes it. These people influence through TV, print media, and even cell phones. Their influences determine the outcome of political votes, bills passed, and what you like to eat, watch, and wear. The population trusts their every word and believes they only tell the truth. This is essentially a country perfectly controlled by the media, and this could be America in the near future. Our generation does not become informed. Now imagine a new country. A country where the population is so informed on bias and so unlikely to be influenced by media agenda that the media doesn't even try. A country where individuals make decisions based on their own knowledge and research, where people vote and dress and act the way they feel they should, not what they are told by an overpowering media. In this country, news becomes more truthful and factual, and there are no cover-ups, and every side is given a fair voice. This could be America. No, this should be America. The land of the free. And by becoming informed, we can make this America our reality. Now I'm going to summarize and call you to action. As you can now see, media bias is a very real and large problem in our world today. Every day, people take what they see on the news and take it as gospel. They make decisions without becoming informed and appease the agenda of those influencing them. Know your facts, know your sources, know their agendas, and know more media bias. By becoming informed, viewers, intelligent citizens, we can create for America a better tomorrow.